After 2.5 years of not posting shit, I'm coming at you with this one. This is a story. I call it the Snapple bottle story. And it's going to be very inappropriate. It's going to offend some people. It is what it is. The story goes back to 2012, right? I was going through this phase where I only drank Snapple products. Peach tea, the strawberry kiwi, the blueberry or raspberry sweet tea, the Snapple apple. I loved all those flavors. I fucked with them all, and I would like collect the lids because all the lids they say like some slick like fortune cookie ass shit under them. So my car was always littered with like empty bottles and lids everywhere, and every time I'd stop that bitch at a red light or a stop sign, it was just an annoying reminder that I had all these damn bottles in my car. And now that I've made it clear that I was going through a Snapple phase and I had all these bottles laying around, I'm going to move to the next point. See, I was at this time in my life where me and my friends, we were just old enough to buy liquor and enjoy it in a place where we weren't, living with our parents or whatever. We were just that age, like 19, 20, 21 years old. Yeah, we were old enough to buy liquor and pay our own bills and have our own spot, but we didn't know no females or nothing. None of us had girlfriends or nothing, so we'd all just come over and hang out together and get drunk. And these fucking get-togethers were starting to get, they're starting to get the reputation of being what we call sausage parties, just mainly dudes. And I took it into I took the initiative and made it my job to resource or outsource on my Facebook page before these get-togethers, and I would try to bounce the girl to guy ratio out, and I always tried to come up with something creative from these posts. Back then I had this Facebook page and I had like 3,800 friends, or I don't know, something ridiculous like that, and I didn't know 80% of them. And so I would just post stuff, and it would reach all these people that I had no idea. So I remember sitting there that summer, that weekend, me and another friend, he was drinking and hanging out, and I was gonna take him to this party later. I've known this kid since high school. We're just sitting there, and I'm about to post this thing on Facebook where I'm just like, hey, we're throwing a get together tonight. It's free, girls leave the drama at home and all the fuck shit. And we actually got a few hits, and it was, a couple of people here and there. Yeah, I'll come, blah, 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 blah. And there was one girl who I'd never talked to. I'd seen her on my feed and everything. She would, scroll by. I'd scroll by her stuff, and I'd see stuff she wrote, and I could never find an opportunity to just start talking to her. So I don't know. It was just out of the blue, because she pops up in my DMs and she was like, "Hey, I want to go to this get together y'all are having." She's like, she had a whole prescription of Xanax. She had the bottle. So I was like, okay, cool. Do you need me to pick you up? Yeah. Well, where do you stay? I stay in Alpharetta. Okay, send me your address. She sends me your address. It's like 20 minutes away. So I'm like, okay, cool. So me and this friend of mine, we're just gonna call him Josh. So me and Josh, we get into my car, and he's about half drunk, and we drive out to Alpharetta, which is like the next town over from where I was at, and to go pick this girl up. I realized on the way out to her, though, I'd left my wallet at the house, so I was like, okay, cool. So when we pick this girl up, we got to go back to the house. I get my wallet, and then we're gonna go to this dude's house. So we get out to her house, and I'm sitting in her driveway calling her phone, and she's coming out the door with the phone still ringing in her hand, and she's got a bottle of pills. She's like, I got party favors. She's clearly been on. She's taken a couple of them already, so she's looking pretty zanied out already. He takes like a whole bar, so he's on his way getting barred out. She's barred out, and they're slurring and nodding off by the time I get back to my house to pick up the wallet. Straight up, all I did, I put the car in park, unbuckled my seatbelt, I got out of the car, I walked inside. I had I had like a an outdoor entrance to like my den, so I walked into that door and I grabbed the wallet off the table, walked back to the car, got in the car, put my seatbelt on, put the selector into reverse, looked at my buddy and said, "All right, man, let's go." And he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up a second." I'm like, "What? Hold up a second, what?" He's like, "We got a situation here." Now, I'm kind of underselling it right now. He had a little bit more emotion in how he expressed it. You know, "Oh my God, we got a situation here." So he's just like, "Well, look, so you got all these fucking bottles, right, just laying around in your car and shit." And I thought it'd be funny because girl's like, you know, fucking barred out and she's not gonna remember anything. I thought it'd be funny if I got one of these goddamn bottles and apparently he inserted one of these bottles into her and took a picture and sent it to me, and I never got it. And I didn't, you know, even if I did, I wouldn't have gotten the joke. If he would have sent me that, we'd have had a whole different conversation. And I don't know if you've seen like Snapple bottles, but they're like very girthy and they don't taper off very like, you know, until the very top. So that's a lot to cram into anywhere. She's sitting in the center of the back seat, you know, with her legs propped over the drivetrain, you know, that hump in the middle of the back, and she's wearing like, I guess, a skirt, and she's got her underwear and it's lodged to the side, and there's a bottle hanging right out of her woman private area. And it didn't register with me at first. I'm looking at it and I could see a little bit of liquid still left in it from the drink, and what comes to mind is that's that strawberry kiwi. Drip, 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 and then it starts clicking, and I'm thinking of words. It's just like, breathe, peace, hope, blase, blah, bro. There's a bottle stuck in this girl's vagina. I start flipping the fuck out. I'm like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck, Josh? What the fuck did you just do?" And he's like, "I don't know, man." I'm like, "Get it out of her." And he's like, "I can't. Why not?" He's like, "I don't know, man. There was no lid on the fucking on the bottle, and it's creating like a fucking vacuum." And you know, in his panic, and to this day, it kind of like impresses me. It really does that he was able to like articulate, I guess, the science behind what was going on. And he's like, "There was no lid on the bottle I put in her, and I think it's creating a vacuum." I'm panicking. He's panicking. She's passed out, and there is a glass bottle lodged in this woman's vagina. So we're freaking out, trying to figure out what to do, and for some reason it just hits me like, "Hey, Zach." And my buddy's like, "Who, your brother? Your brother Zach?" And I was like, "Yeah." Zach is my older brother, and at that time he was a very avid drug user. Had a very dangerous addiction. I had watched him fire off at least a gram of dope into his arm like 2 days before. I knew he was still stuck in the garage doing whatever the fuck he was doing. So I was like, "Yeah, Zach, motherfucker, he's gonna know what to do. He can fix this shit. This is right up his alley." And so I ran up in the garage real quick. Sudden movement, sudden noise, everything. You know, it's just like, "Holy shit, Zach!" And he was like, "Holy shit, what?" And you can tell he was wigging, bro. His pupils were like the size of olives. And I kind of took in one big ass breath and just let it all out in one breath. It was just like, "Holy shit, dude, there's a girl in the backseat of my car and she's got a bottle stuck in her vagina and we don't know what to do, and oh my God." And he's like, "Holy shit, stop." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Hold on a second, let me get my tools." And he goes and gets a bag of tools, and he gets these fucking glasses that have like layers of more glasses and some lights and some extra lenses and some headlamps on it. And he takes his little bag of tools and his glasses out to the car, and I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of in a daze at this point. I'm really just blowed, bro. Like, I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, walking back to the car all slow as fuck, and I'm just like, fuck, how do I always get myself into situations like this? And I'm realizing the common denominator was always the people I was around, you know, because I look back up, and this motherfucker Josh, who is the reason we're in this whole situation, I'm watching him now with his camera phone up, and he's recording this whole thing going on with the bottle. And I look at what he's recording, and there's my brother. He's got my passenger seat rolled forward, and he's kind of just straddling it on top of it, and he's down in there with the glasses and the lights and everything, and he's got a ball peen hammer and a painter's nail, and he's just tink 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 tink. And I'm like, oh shit. So in theory, I guess that makes sense. Like, you can, like, you know, put a crack or a little hole in the glass jar and let air come through, but you're really running a risk of busting that bottle and that situation becoming like a blender. So I'm like, man, that's sketchy. And as that's happening, my buddy's like still recording, and I realize he's recording, and I take his phone from him, and basically this is the exact moment where he's just like, wait a second, somebody's coming down the driveway. And I'm sitting here trying to delete whatever he was recording on the phone, and I'm like, who is it? And he's like, it looks like your mom. I'm like, what? And I look over, and sure enough, my mom's coming down the driveway. And if you know me and my past and my history with these crazy obscure situations I get into, I always try to hide it from my parents. And good old mom, she has a tenacity of showing up right when the shit is in the fan. And man, so she's pulling up, and I'm like, oh man, shut it down, shut the shit down. Like, mom's here, you gotta go. And Zach has just disappeared, like in some sort of vapor, like meth magic. He's gone. And my buddy's zannied out, drunk, kind of just laughing to himself. I'm straightening up the seat, and I'm dragging his ass, and I'm putting him in the seat, and I'm putting him in the car, and I'm putting like the door shut, and I'm buckling my seatbelt, and I'm backing out as soon as my mom is coming down next to me. I'm backing out. We stop, and we meet right there in the middle, roll our windows down. I'm panicking, but I got my poker face on. And she looks at me, she's like, what's going on, James? And I'm like, whoa, we got a buddy who's having a little get together tonight, and we're gonna be doing some drinking, so we're gonna probably be out all night and all that stuff. And my mom's like, alright, well, you know the drill, James. No drinking and driving, and, you know, safe sex and all that bullshit. I'm like, alright, Mama, I got you. I go back to reversing out of there. This girl's still slooped over in my back seat. My buddy's looking at me. He's like, are we really going to this party with this girl in this situation, in this condition right now? I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. We're not going to no party. We're going to the emergency room. And I guess the way it was in my hometown, like, when you pull up to the emergency room, it's like a drive-through almost, and you pull your car through, and some nurses come out with the wheelchairs, and they help you in the wheelchair, and they push you in and all that stuff. So you don't really, you know, for emergencies, I guess. Anyway, I'm sitting like 30 yards back from that point, you know, to where the doors will get triggered and they'll come out with the wheelchair. And I'm thinking. I'm like, all right, so whatever we do, we got to get this girl out of here before she realizes, like, her situation, what she's got going on. We got to get her into a situation where she could get help. And by the time this is all going on, we need to be blocking her out of our social media and just trying to cover our tracks. So I'm sitting there 30 yards back. I'm looking at the spot where you're supposed to get into the wheelchair and go inside, and I'm looking at how far away the wheelchairs are, and I'm trying to figure everything out. I'm like, and I get on this whole plot and scheme and shit. I'm like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. This is how it's gonna go down. You're gonna get out, and you're gonna go get one of those fucking wheelchairs, and you're gonna push it all the way back, and I'm gonna meet you halfway. So basically, I'm pulling up to the entrance while you're pulling up with the wheelchair, and I will get out, and I will pick her up and put her in the wheelchair, and we'll get her into the door, and we'll take off. In my mind, it made sense, but there's no way I explained it any way that was, you know, helpful. I take off, and I pull up, and I park it real quick, and he gets out and goes and gets a wheelchair, and he's fucked up on Xanax and alcohol, so he can't really, like, stand up straight, and he's trying to push this wheelchair back, and he's stumbling and falling. He slips and falls and busts his knee open and slams his shit right into the side of my door, puts a dent in my door, and I vow to kill this motherfucker after all this is said and done. Not just for the weird shit with this bottle and this girl, but also because he's put a dent in my car. This dude's officially got to die. I just say, fuck it. And I get out of the car, and this girl is only like 90 pounds soaking wet. So I unbuckle her, I yank her ass up, and I put her in the wheelchair, and I'm pushing, and I'm actually in good shape at this point in my life, you know, so I get a good running start. I feel like I can coast her about 30 fucking yards without, you know, without having to push her in. So I get a good running start. I'm pushing her, getting faster, and right as I get to the doors, they open automatically, and I just push her and let her coast and let go, and she just sails into the ER waiting room. And I watch her slam into the nurse's desk in this wheelchair, and the nurse says, "Oh my God, what?" And I've thought about it over and over from different perspectives, and trying to get outside of my head and experience it through somebody else's eyes, and I can't help but laugh and just think about how probably traumatic it was for some of those old couples, or, you know, some of those families with sick kids. You know, the parents were there with the babies, and what they must have thought or whatever when they saw a incapacitated, passed out, drooling on herself, high on Xanax, little 80-pound, 5 foot nothing white girl in a fucking wheelchair being pushed by nobody as she coasts and slams into a desk. And meanwhile, she's got this bottle hanging out of her vagina. Could you imagine all these old people and these kids and these, oh my God. So, I don't know. That's just how my head works, I guess. It's kind of like a cartoon. I made sure she had her phone, but I took my phone out of my pocket. I took his phone out of my pocket because I took his phone away when he was recording that stupid, weird shit. And, I handed it to him and was like, hey, I want you to go through our social media and delete and block and erase this person. And let's pray we never hear anything about this. And that's what we did. To this day, we have not heard a single thing about this from whoever that girl was. I can't even remember her name. Let it be known that I'm not letting it escape that there was an entire part of this story that was just basically sexual assault, and I'm kind of just continuing on like we're not going to address it. Well, I realized what it was then, I realize what it is now, and no, it never did get addressed, sadly. And I just don't want people to think I'm the type of person that will stand by and watch as that happens, regardless of if it's a friend or not. And that's just not the type of person I am, and I'm no longer friends with this person. And this is actually probably the poster event for why I ended my friendship with this person. And he had put me in other situations before. And this person who I was hanging around with all the time, who I thought was my friend, was just putting me in all these weird-ass, strange-ass situations. I'm realizing that he's the common denominator for all of my issues with everything that's going on. And because he's doing all this weird predator-ass shit. And so once I canceled him out of my life, those situations kind of cold out. And I don't know, I feel like I would be telling you a lot more stories if I'd remained friends with this guy, and probably ended up getting into some weird legal problems because of him.